Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to my patch 8.15 mid lane SoloQ tier list. Gonna keep it very short and sweet today and just briefly run down on some of the champions I want to touch on. So firstly, I'm gonna run through my S tier mid laners. So kicking it off, we have Fizz. Fizz saw massive buffs this patch. After his huge nerf and slight rework on the last patch, this patch they've gone, okay, he doesn't have enough AP, he doesn't have enough ratios. We're going to buff him up, put more damage in his W, more damage and on his ultimate as well. This champion's kit has so much damage at the moment. And the best thing about Fizz and why I think he's S tier is because he counters a lot of the strong champions right now. You're going to see Syndra creeping up, Aurelian Soul is still very strong, you still got Twisted Fate, you got Zoe. Fizz is like the perfect counter to a lot of these champions, and I think for him to be S tier, I honestly think he's much better as a counter pick to a lot of these immobile mid laners, not a blind pick. Something like the Orianna, which is coming up in this patch as well, which I think is S tier, is Orianna, because she pretty much has like no bad matchups at the moment. Everybody has just been slowly coming down, and Orianna is just a champion that when everybody comes down a notch, she just slowly works her way up and becomes the king in the mid lane or the queen in the mid lane because she just finds so much consistency. She scales incredibly well in solo queue. She has a really nice consistent item spike and power spike. So that's why I think Orianna is also in my S tiers for this patch. Next up is the trio of roaming champions that I think are perfect for solo queue right now. Twisted Fate, Talon, and Aurelian. If you one-trick any of these three champions or all three, you're going to have a really good time climbing in solo queue. Right now, they're all very, very strong. I actually think Aurelian is probably the strongest mid laner on this patch right now. The only problem is you're probably going to have to be banning out Fizz every single game because if you verse Fizz right now as Aurelian, you're going to have such a bad time. You're going to need to get the Hourglass. You're going to be needing to run like Exhaust or Barrier. It's going to be such a hard matchup to run into. Next up is the two burst champions, Zoe and LeBlanc. These two champions, when mastered, are just going to snowball the game incredibly early, pop off in the mid game, 2-3 item spikes, and just snowball and finish the game before anybody can outscale you. Lastly, for my S tier and my God tier mids, I've put Akali. Look, I've played one game of Akali. I've looked at the numbers. This champion, if you master it, guys, I need to emphasize, if you master it, you're probably going to need like 20 to 50 games before you can start actually getting good results on Akali. Hopefully some of you have played some of it in the PBE. This champion is very strong, but just note, if you go first time ranked with Akali right now, you're going to int. It's hard, it's a hard champion. It's difficult. You need to know exactly how all your dashes work. You need to know how your shroud works properly. But overall, this champion's kit is broken as fuck, and when mastered, I'm not too sure how it's going to be built yet, but it's going to definitely provide you some dividends on 8.15. Moving across now to my A tier champions, you see Vladimir. He's moved down from S tier. Vladimir is just struggling more and more so to have an extremely strong laning phase and snowball the game when he wants to at 2 or 3 items. He really does struggle in a couple of mid lane matchups right now, specifically Orianna, even Cassio he really struggles into. So the Vladimir is still a strong pick, but he's definitely not S tier on 8.15. The last two champions I want to touch on for my A tier is Syndra and Ahri. I think these two champions are very strong right now. You can blind pick them both really safely, to be honest. The only problem with the Syndra is things like Fizz. You need to be a little bit careful because this Fizz matchup is spicy. It's a known counter. So maybe ban it out. Other than that, you're going to be fine. These champions counter things like the Orianna, the Zoe. You can run them into these champions and just snowball incredibly at level 6 and get that hardcore all-in that you're looking for. Just lastly, just looking at my B and C tier champions. There's a lot of champions here, guys, that are strong if you master them, but they're not quite as strong as the S and the A tiers. You've seen Irelia, the nerfs on 8.15, drops down all the way down to C tier. I think Irelia right now is pretty trash. She's in the gutter. Unless you're like a 100+ game Irelia master, you can't really get those pop-off games that you used to be able to. Her numbers have just seen incredible nerfs over the last couple of patches, so I do not recommend playing her. You may see Azir pop up in LCS games. That doesn't mean he's good in solo queue. Azir is incredibly team reliant, blue reliant, and it's pretty hard to make this champion actually work in solo queue because you're not able to consistently get to the stages of the game where Azir really excels. So that's it for my 8.15 mid lane solo queue tier list, guys. Short and sweet, hope it's helped. When you're looking for a champion to main, look for the S and the A tier champs, and you're definitely going to see some great results on 8.15. I'll catch you next time.